In the previous lecture, we have started a very important problem, the ground state of the Deuteron. Today, we will complete this problem. In previous lecture, I have just arrived at a particular equation after applying the Schrodinger time-independent equation for the two nucleon system. And that equation was actually this much, which I have written in this equation A, d2u by dr square plus m over h cross square e minus v of r u equal to 0. Actually, in this equation, this function u is actually equal to u of r. And as we have defined it, this u in this way, this was actually the radial wave function times the radial coordinate r. Now we will discuss this equation and then we will find the important calculations or important properties of the nuclear force by dealing with the problem of ground state of Deuteron. As I have told in the previous lecture that this potential V is not known. Actually, nucleon potential is not known. So to deal with this problem, we only assume a particular form of potential. As I have told you, you can take this potential as a very popular potential that is called a square wave potential or exponential potential or Gaussian potential or Yukawa potential. But due to the simplicity, or you can say for the convenience of dealing of the problem, actually we assume here a square wave potential to discuss this problem. So this potential V of r, which we will now treat as a square wave potential, is actually an assumed potential. This is not the known potential of nucleon system, just we have assumed it. So it is called assumed potential. First of all, we have to know how this assumed square wave potential is defined. I hope you have certainly done this topic of a square wave potential in your course of quantum mechanics. So I hope you are familiar with this potential. We define this square wave potential like this. V of r is equal to minus V naught when r is less than r naught. Actually, you can say this is first region. Here one can use the sign of equality to r less or equal to r naught. But when you say r is less than r naught, equality is understood. So this is actually the first region. That is, in first region, our potential V of r is equal to minus V naught. And minus sign indicates its attractive nature. And when r is greater than r naught, this is actually second region in which this potential abruptly falls to 0. This is just an abrupt fall. You can see this potential V of r has a particular value minus V naught when r is less or equal to r naught. It means this potential V of r is actually a spherically symmetric potential. As you can see, its value is same, that is minus V naught in a spherical volume of radius r naught. What is this r naught actually? Actually, this r naught is a range of this potential. This is the range in which this potential has a finite value. In this region, the potential does not vary. It has a constant value of minus V naught. But outside of this region, this potential abruptly falls to 0. So it is very easy to graphically plot this potential and see the graphical plot of this potential. Here I have just plotted this V of r in against of r. What is this r? R is actually nucleon separation and V of r is the square wave potential. And when you say potential, in fact in quantum mechanics the term potential is used for potential energy. You measure it, this V of R, in units of energy in mega electron volt or electron volt. In nuclear physics, it is always in mega electron volt because its value is larger. And so, in accordance with the definition of this potential, you can see when R is equal to 0, this potential is what? This potential is minus V naught. And as R increases, this potential does not increase. Its value remains at V naught until R is equal to R naught. When R becomes R naught, after that this potential abruptly becomes 0. And this is its 0 value. And you can say this is the region first and this is the region second. You can see that in region first the potential is negative at a particular value of minus V naught, and outside of this region, that is when you go outside of the range of the potential R naught, this potential becomes 0 and it remains 0 throughout, that is up to R equal to infinity. So in this region the potential V is equal to 0, and in this region potential V is equal to minus V naught throughout between 0 and R equal to R naught. Now in the equation which I have written here, what is this term E? Actually E is the energy of our 2-nucleon system. And if it is energy of the system, what will be its value? You know that binding energy of deuteron is what? Binding energy of deuteron is actually EB equal to 2.226 mega electron volt. This is binding energy of deuteron, as I have mentioned it in the second lecture. And what will be its energy? System deuteron nucleus energy. You know from the definition of binding energy that it is actually the minimum energy required to just break the nucleus. So if and when a nucleus will be broken, or in general you can say when a stable system is broken. Actually a stable system is broken only when its total energy is at least equal to 0. It means for breaking of deuteron nucleus, its energy, actually it is a general case but I am just referring deuteron nucleus, its energy E, so its energy means its total energy E should be greater or equal to 0. You can say this is total energy, ET, this is for total. If the total energy of a system becomes greater or equal to 0, in fact in that condition the system breaks. Now its binding energy is EB. So if energy of the system is E, then E plus EB must be equal to 0, because binding energy is the minimum energy needed to break the system. So you can say, so if E be the energy of deuteron, in ground state. Although we will see that deuteron has no excited state, it is also a finding, and here I am just mentioning that the deuteron is in ground state and its energy is E. Then E plus EB will be equal to 0, and this implies the energy of deuteron nucleus in ground state will be what? This is actually equal to minus EB. So energy of deuteron nucleus is minus EB, but you know EB is positive. This is plus 2.226 mega electron volt, and so the total energy of the deuteron nucleus in ground state is negative, and this negative value actually refers the bond state. And as I have told, this is energy of the deuteron nucleus in ground state. You can think this energy includes what types of energy? Actually, this energy E includes nucleon interaction energy means potential energy, although it may include kinetic energy of nucleons. If the nucleons are in motion, they must possess kinetic energy, and this energy E is actually the sum total of nucleon interaction energy, that is potential energy, and the kinetic energy of the nucleons. But one should remember here that E does not contain the rest mass energy of the nucleons. It does not include rest mass energy of the nucleons. You know, rest mass energy of proton is what? This is 938 mega electron volt, and the rest mass energy of neutron is what? This is 939 mega electron volt. This is much larger. But as you can see here, this total energy is only minus 2.226 mega electron volt. So this energy does not contain the rest mass energy, but only the nucleon interaction potential energy and kinetic energy of the nucleons. It only includes it. Now you can see that total energy of this system is negative, and it is equal to just negative of the binding energy. As the deuteron is in a bound state, so we hope that, or we can say that that this EB should be much smaller than V0, and so I have here drawn the energy level of corresponding to energy E here, and this is much above from the minus V0 line and closer to the R line. So this is just our assumption that in accordance with the evidence, this is not purely assumption, that this V0 is much greater than EB. And you will see our calculation will be based on this assumption that the V0 is much greater than EB. And one should remember this V0 is what? Actually the V0 is the depth of the potential well, or you may say this measures the strength of the potential well. So this V0, which refers the depth of the potential well, and this measures the strength of the potential well. Strength. It is the measure of strength of the potential well. Now you can solve the equation which I have mentioned previously in the first lecture, and here just I have written in equation number A, this equation A. Now we will solve it for this square well potential. So in place of V, we will put minus V naught for the first region, and we will put V equal to 0 for the second region. And E will have a value equal to minus EB. So what now the equation A will become? You can see. So equation A is given as, what will be equation A? This will be actually, say, d2u1 by dr square plus m over h cross square v naught minus EB times u1, and this equal to 0. Say this is equation number 1, and this is for in first region, that is for r less than r naught. See one thing, here I have written for your convenience u is equal to u1, that is I am just assuming for convenience. You can write u2. In most of the textbook you will find here u, but for your convenience I am writing it u1, that in first region I have assumed that the wave function is u1. I have just assumed it, and this equation may be written as d2u1 by dr square plus k square u1 equal to 0. Say this is not equation 1, but this is equation 1, and I have written this k square for what? You can see here, k is equal to what? This is plus root over m into v naught minus EB over h cross square. This is actually the value of k. Actually it is positive and real, so I have mentioned here the positive sign. And this is actually in what region? This is for region first, that is r less than r naught. Now we will write again equation A for the second region, and you know in second region, that is in the region r greater than r naught, v naught is 0. So what will be our equation in the second region? Again we will have d2u2 over dr square, as in this case v naught is 0 and E is equal to minus EB. So our equation will be minus m over h cross square EB u2, and this is equal to 0. And we write it as d2u2 by dr square minus gamma square u2 is equal to 0. Say this is equation 2, and this equation is for what region? This is actually for second region, in which you have seen that R is greater than R naught. Here this constant gamma is for what? You can see I have written gamma in place of a square root of m EB over h cross square. This is also a positive constant. So now we have two equations. First one is for the first region, that is R less than R naught, and second one is for the second region, that is for R greater than R naught. Now observe the forms of the equation and write their solutions. You can easily write the solutions. These are actually familiar equations of mathematical physics. You can see this equation 1 is nothing. This is simply the equation of simple harmonic motion. So its solution, that is the wave function u1, will be of oscillatory nature, and we will write the solution of this equation, that is the value of u1, as an oscillatory function. So just write the solutions of these equations. We can write solution of equations 1 and 2 are solution of equation 1. This will be u1 of r, and this is equal to a sin kr. This is a familiar solution, plus b cos kr. B cos kr. Say this is equation 1a. This is solution of equation 1, so I write it as 1a. Here actually a and b are arbitrary constants which will be evaluated by applying the appropriate boundary condition. You can see this u1 of r is of what nature? This is of oscillatory nature. Oscillatory nature. But see the equation number 2. You can see the solution of this equation will be actually exponentially varying, because there is a negative sign before the second term, so the solution will be exponentially varying solution. So you can write this is actually the solution for region R less than R naught. Now for the region R greater than R naught, we have assumed that the eigen function is u2 of r, and this u2 of r will be what? Write the arbitrary constant, let us say c e to the power minus gamma r plus d e to the power plus gamma into r. This is say equation 2a, and this solution is for the region R greater than R naught. But the solution or the wave function which just I have written here are valid wave function or not? We will check. Actually, a valid wave function satisfies some boundary conditions. You know, you have definitely have done the course in quantum mechanics about the wave function and the criteria for a valid wave function or a realistic wave function. So these functions must satisfy all those conditions which are necessary to be a valid wave function. So to find the actual nature of these functions, we should apply the appropriate boundary condition. So what are the boundary conditions here which we will apply for this purpose? So we will apply the boundary conditions. So what are those boundary conditions? Let us see. The boundary conditions are. What are the boundary conditions? Actually, the first boundary condition we would like to mention. You know, the wave function psi of r or u of r, or you can say r of r, must be finite everywhere. Wave function must be finite everywhere for any value of r or x or y or z. So r of r, this is actually radial wave function. This must be finite everywhere. So it must be finite at r equal to 0. R equal to 0. And this r of r must be equal to 0 at r equal to infinity, or you may say r tending towards infinity. And as we know that this r of r was what? Or you can say this u was actually equal to r times r. R times r. Therefore, you can say at r equal to 0, since this capital R is finite, so at r equal to 0, what will be this u? U will be equal to 0. When you say u equal to 0, it means u means in fact u1, because you are taking r equal to 0 and this point lies in the first region. So it means u1 is equal to 0. When r is 0, then u1 will be 0. And let us see the equation for this region, that is r less than r naught. The equation is u1 of r equal to a sin kr plus b cos kr. And now we should apply this boundary condition on this equation. You can see this u1 should be 0 when r is equal to 0. Let us put in this equation r equal to 0. So you can see, therefore u1 at 0, that is r equal to 0, is equal to a sin 0 plus b cos 0. And sin 0 is 0, so this will be 0, and cos 0 is 1, so this is b. So you can see, if b is not 0, then this condition will be not satisfied. But this condition must be satisfied for a valid wave function. So for the satisfaction of this boundary condition, this constant b must be 0. So therefore b should be equal to 0. And if b is 0, then we will get the real form of this oscillatory function u1 of r. It means u1 of r should be equal to only a sin kr. So this is its real form. Therefore, we can conclude this u1 of r is equal to what? This is a sin kr, and this is actually 1b. You can say this is for the region r less than r naught. Now we will apply the another boundary condition. You know that r equal to infinity, r of r should be 0, and if r of r is 0, then u will be also 0. At r equal to infinity, or in more strict sense you say that r tends towards infinity, at r equal to infinity, R of R is 0, and as you have seen that U is R, small r times capital R, so this implies this U of R will be also 0. But what does this U mean here? Actually, we are talking about the second region, and in second region we have assumed that this U is actually U2. So U2 of R will be equal to 0. So when we will put in the expression for U2 R equal to infinity, then U2 should be equal to 0. So let us put this condition in the equation for U2. So U2 at infinity is equal to what? C e to the power minus gamma times infinity plus d e to the power gamma times infinity. And as we have seen here that when r equal to infinity, then see here this U of R is 0. So this is 0, and e to the power minus infinity is 0. So this term will vanish, and plus, and e to the power infinity is infinity. So this is undefined. So equation is not valid. It will be valid, it will be satisfied only when this term d will be 0, and d will vanish only then. So this implies the constant d should be 0, and hence the actual mathematical form of the function U2 of R, that is the wave function in the second region, should be what? This should be actually equal to Ce to the power minus gamma R. So we have U2 of R is equal to C e to the power minus gamma times R, and say this is 2b. This is for a region R greater than R naught, or you may say the second region. So now the actual form of the wave function in the first region and in the second region we have derived. You can see in the first region the wave function is oscillatory because it will vary in accordance with the sine function, and in the second region this wave function is exponentially decaying. As the R increases, the wave function will be very rapidly decrease with increase in R. So we have now just evaluated the actual form of the wave function in the two regions. Now we will apply actually the third boundary condition. You know the third boundary condition is what? Just like as a wave function is continuous at a boundary, its first order derivative is also continuous at the boundary. So the condition is in the first region, that is at R equal to R naught is the boundary. You can see here our potential variation is like this, and this is our boundary R equal to R naught, which separates the first region and the second region. So at this R equal to R naught, du1 by dr at R equal to R naught, this must be equal to du2 by dr at R equal to R naught. And at the same time, we know the wave function itself is continuous. You know, wave function has never a curves. It is not sharpened at a point. It is just continuous. So u1 of R at R equal to R naught, this is actually equal to u2 of R at R equal to R naught. These are the boundary conditions or you may say continuity conditions obeyed by the wave function and its first order derivative. So when we will apply this condition, first of all we apply this condition which I have mentioned in second equation. So what will be this? You can see the above equation, u1 of r is actually equal to what? This is a sin kr. But if we want the value of this function at r equal to r naught, then what will be this? This will be a sin kr naught. And what is u2 of r? u2 of r is actually c e to the power minus gamma r. But here r is equal to r naught. So say this is equation number 3. And now we will apply the second condition. So first of all differentiate u1 of r and u2 of r and then put r equal to r naught. So what you will get? You will get that Ka cos kr naught will be equal to minus gamma c e to the power minus gamma r naught. Say this is equation 4. These two equations we have obtained from the continuity condition of the wave function and its first order derivative. Now let us divide the equation 4 by equation 3. So from 4 over 3. When you will divide this Ka cos kr naught by a sin kr naught, a will cancel out and this will be simply k cot kr naught. And here c will cancel out and this exponential factor will also cancel out. The result will be simply minus gamma. And you can see in this equation neither the constant a nor the constant c are involved. Actually this relates only the range of the potential r naught to the depth of the potential v naught, because in gamma and k v naught is constant. So this equation relates the range with the depth of the potential, that is how r naught will be related to the depth of the potential or the strength of the potential. This equation relates it. And as I have told you that our calculation is based upon the assumption that EB is much smaller than V naught, or you may say V naught is much greater than EB, because in fact it is just a demand of the bond state. Bond state of the deuteron will exist only when the strength of the potential is much greater than its binding energy. So we will do our calculation on the basis of this assumption, and you will see when the final result will come. Actually our aim is to find out the depth of this potential V naught, and when V naught will be obtained from the experimental data and the theory which we will derive, then you will find that our assumption is correct. So now let us do the calculation on the assumption that EB is much smaller than V naught. So first of all, see the value of cot kr naught from this equation. When we will find the value of cot kr naught, this will be simply minus gamma over k. So you can write now cot kr naught, this is actually equal to minus gamma over k, And as we have mentioned the value of these two constants gamma and k previously, you can see there that this will be minus root over MEB over H cross square. This half is for a square root and divided by M times V naught minus EB over H cross square and a square root. And we can write it as cot kr naught is equal to minus EB over V naught minus EB and whole to the power half, because M over H cross square is a common factor in numerator and denominator. They will cancel out, and our result is like this. But our assumption is what? Our assumption is V naught is much greater than EB. So to a first approximation, we may neglect this EB in comparison to V naught. So our result will be almost equal to minus EB over V naught square root. And say this is equation number 6. This is equation 6. Now, as we have assumed this V naught is much greater than EB, so this will be a very small number, and you can say this quantity in RHS of equation 6 will just tend towards 0. So to a first approximation, we can take this cot kr naught is almost equal to 0. And if cot kr naught is almost 0, what will be kr naught? Kr naught is almost equal to, pi by 2, cot pi by 2 is 0, or 3 pi by 2, you can say, and so on, like this. Or the odd integral multiple of pi by 2, for those values, cot kr naught will be equal to 0. Or from here, we can say that this k will be almost equal to pi over 2r naught, or 3 pi over 2r naught, and so on. These are the value of k. Now, again, in accordance with our assumption that is V naught much greater than EB, in this condition, the value of k will be what? Again, we know that k is actually equal to M into V naught minus EB over H cross square root. But as V naught is much greater than EB, so you can write this is equal to MV naught over H cross square root. Because you see here that V naught is much greater than EB, so we have neglected the EB in this equation. And say this is equation number 8. So you can see we have two values of k in equation 7 and in equation 8. In equation 7, k has different values. These are pi by 2 r naught, 3 pi by 2 r naught, and in equation 8 it is actually a square root of mv naught over h cross square. So we can equate these two values, or you may say that we can compare these two values. So from equations 7 and 8, what we will get? This k is actually equal to mv naught over h cross square root, and this equals, from equation 7, pi over 2r naught, 3 pi over 2r naught, and so on. And from here we can write, if you square this equation both sides and rearrange the term, you will get this v naught into r naught square is equal to what? This will be actually pi square h cross square by 4m. This will be 9 pi square h cross square by 4m, and so on. Say this is equation 9. Actually, this v naught into r naught square is the measure of the strength of the potential. You have studied it in quantum mechanics. This quantity actually measures the strength of the potential. Although v naught is depth of potential, r naught is a range of potential, and this quantity is treated like a strength of the potential. But these are theoretical values, but we have to examine that the value of k, which are pi over 2r naught, 3 pi over 2r naught, and so on, are all these values possible, or only one value is possible? You will see that only the first value of k, that is pi over 2r naught, is possible. All the larger values are not possible. Why? We can see. So to explain this, why the other values except this pi over 2r naught is not possible for k, let us examine it. We can see that if we take, if kr naught is equal to 3 pi by 2, or you can say k is equal to 3 pi by 2r naught. In that condition, the function u of r, or you can say that the function r of r, will definitely have a node inside the well, which means that r of r is not the lowest ground state energy level. In this condition, as you can see here, if we will plot the function as I have obtained it, so I am just plotting again that function, but the figure was in the first page, but for your convenience I am just plotting it here. See our graphical plot. This was our plot. This was v of r, this was r, this is minus v naught, and this is actually E equal to minus EB level, and here is r equal to 0. As we have actually two functions, u1, which lies between r equal to 0 to r naught. u1 we have find this was a sine kr, and u2 was actually ce to the power minus gamma r. So see here, if we will plot these functions, so in between r equal to 0 and r equal to r naught, our graphical plot will be in accordance with the function u1, that will be a sine function. But outside of this range of the potential, there will be this exponentially decaying function. This is gamma r, you can see here, this is actually r, gamma r. And so if we can see, if r is equal to r naught, then u1 will be a sine kr naught, and c will be and u2 will be equal to ce to the power minus gamma r naught. So at this point neither u1 nor u2 is 0, and hence if we will take kr naught equal to 3 pi by 2, then the graphical plot will be like this. There should be a node inside this, but this is not allowed by this function in accordance with this range. So we can say that there should be not a node inside the potential well for the bond state, because if there will be a node inside the well, then that function does not represent the ground state wave function. You have studied in the particle in a box in quantum mechanics that for ground state wave function, the graphical plot of wave function is like this, and there is no node inside the box. Inside the box there is no node. So this kr naught equal to 3 pi by 2 refers that there should be a node, and in that condition the wave function which we have assumed, that is r of r, will be not a ground state wave function, but that should be a ground state wave function, because we are dealing with the ground state of the Deuteron. So for this we can say that kr naught equal to 3 pi by 2 and its higher value are not acceptable. So only one solution will be acceptable, and that is kr naught equal to pi by 2. I am just plotting this function here, this wave function. This is actually u1 of r, and this is u2 of r. This is exponentially decaying, and this is sinusoidally varying. You can see I am just writing some of the important points which just I have mentioned for your convenience, that if kr naught equal to 3 pi by 2, or don't write if, only say kr naught equal to 3 pi by 2. This implies there should be a node inside the well, and if there will be a node inside the well, then r of r or u of r will be not a ground state wave function. It may be some excited state wave function, but we will see in the next lecture that there is no excited state of deuteron. Excited state does not exist in case of deuteron nucleus. So we can only consider the ground state, and if Kr naught is equal to 3 pi by 2, then there will be node inside the well, and in this condition R of R or U of R will not be a ground state wave function. Or you may say this cannot represent the lowest energy state, but we are dealing with the ground state only, and so for the ground state or for the minimum energy state of the deuteron, only acceptable value will be what? So this implies acceptable value is Kr naught equal to pi by 2. Kr naught equal to pi by 2. And if Kr naught equal to pi by 2, then as you have seen above, that this V naught square, V naught into R naught square will be what? We have find just now. This is actually equal to pi square h cross square over 4m. When this is this condition holds, then this quantity is this much. And so from this result we can find the value of the depth of the potential V naught. So what will be this V naught? This V naught will be pi square h cross square divided by 4m R naught square. Actually this is the most important result. Say it is A1. From this result we can calculate the depth of the potential well. As I have told you earlier, that our aim in this theory is to find the depth of the potential well, V naught. So actually from experiment it is found that the order of R naught, that is range of the nucleon-nucleon interaction, is of the order of femtometer, or you may say Fermi. So let us take, if we take, this is experimental value, R naught is equal to 2.4 Fermi, or you can say Fm, then in this condition all other quantities are known. It is found that this V naught is almost equal to 36 mega electron volt. From this value you can justify our assumption that why we have taken this V naught much greater than EB. As you know, this EB is what? This EB is only 2.226 MeV, but this V naught is 36 MeV. So our assumption was correct. The depth of the potential is much larger than the binding energy of this particular nucleus, that is the deuteron. And this is why it is said that deuteron is a loosely bonded nucleus, or you can say deuteron is barely bonded. So conclusion is that deuteron is barely bonded. Now you can see that the outside of the well, the wave function is exponentially decaying. We have calculated in the second region, when R is greater than R naught, then I am not now writing U2, but I am only writing it U. U was what? This was C e to the power minus gamma r. So this wave function is exponentially decaying. And the exponential decrease of this function u beyond r equal to r naught or above r equal to r naught permits us to regard the reciprocal of this quantity gamma as a measure of Deuteron radius. And so due to this exponential decaying nature, this 1 over gamma, this equal to Rd, and this is actually a radius of Deuteron nucleus. And therefore, as we know gamma, so what will be this? This will be actually equal to h cross square over m EB, a square root of this much, and this is almost equal to 4.31 Fermi. This is just an estimation, as I have mentioned the RMS value of Deuteron nucleus, which is almost half of this value. So we can see here one thing more, that this Rd is much more greater than the range of the nucleon interaction, in this case R naught. And this result also refers that Deuteron is not a tightly bound system, and this is the cause is that the binding energy of Deuteron is smaller. So this result also implies that Deuteron is not a strongly bound system. Actually, due to the dealing of this problem, we have drawn these important facts. But when we will discuss the excited states of Deuteron, although we will prove that there are no excited states of Deuteron, after that discussion we will draw the important informations regarding the nucleon potential, or you may say the nuclear force. So this is all about the ground state of Deuteron in this lecture, and in next lecture we will discuss the excited state of Deuteron.